Hey loves, it's your shadow whisperer Eliza here, back in the dim glow of my laptop, the kind that makes secrets feel like they're just between us. If this is your first dive into my confessions, pull up a chair, maybe light a candle, something to ward off the chill that's coming. Last time, I cracked open a piece of my soul, and y'all, the messages poured in like rain after a drought. Hearts broken in tandem, hands reaching through the screen. It healed something in me, spilling those words. But tonight? Tonight we're going deeper, unraveling the threads I left dangling, weaving in the parts one couldn't face before. This is the full tapestry, longer and rawer, stained with the what-ifs and the wounds that never quite scab over. It's the story of the girl who chased holiness with everything she had, only to have it twisted into something profane, something that bloomed inside her like a forbidden fruit. Emotions? Oh, they'll crash over you. The fierce love for a God who seemed to turn away, the infidelity that clawed at my vows before I even took them, the intimacies that were thefts dressed as tenderness, the loves that warped into obsessions, and the unravelings that left me in pieces, piecing myself back wrong. Breathe with me, okay? This one's a marathon through the dark. Hit play, and let's begin where the light first flickered. I was barely 7, a wisp of a thing with knees perpetually skinned from playground tumbles and eyes wide as the stained glass windows at St. Agnes. Mama worked doubles at the mill, her hands rough as sandpaper from the looms, so she'd bundle me into the church van every afternoon, waving from the curb with a tired smile that said, "Go find your angels, Eliza." And I did. Father Riley had this way of telling stories, saints who danced with lions, virgins who outshone the stars, and I'd sit cross-legged on the cold tile, my little heart swelling with a dream so pure it hurt. Becoming a nun wasn't just a fancy. It was my anchor in the storm of Daddy's absence, his chair empty at the table, his ghost reeking of whiskey in the hallway. The sisters, cloaked in their black and white like living prayers, they were my future, untouchable, devoted, their days a rhythm of bells and breviaries. I'd sneak into the sacristy after catechism, fingering the crisp linens, inhaling the wax and myrrh, whispering to the crucifix, "Let me be yours, Lord." All the way. Celibacy? It sang to me like a lullaby, a vow of love without the barbs of fleshly wants. No husbands with wandering eyes, no babies crying in the night, just me and the divine, hand in unblemished hand. That dream wrapped around my ribs like a corset of hope, tight and lovely, holding me upright when Mama's sobs echoed through the thin walls at night. Then came Richard, striding into our fractured world like a wolf in wool, all polished shoes and promises that tasted like honeyed lies. Mama met him at a church social, irony's cruel joke, where he volunteered to fix the leaky roof, his hammer swinging with a confidence that made her blush after years of solitude. He was 35 to her 32, broad-chested and blue-eyed, with a laugh that filled rooms and a job at the bank that screamed stability. "I'll be the father you both deserve," he vowed at the altar, 6 months later, his ring glinting on Mama's finger as I stood there in a frilly dress, 9 years old and clutching a bouquet of daisies like a shield. For a spell, it worked. He tucked me in with tales of knights and quests, his voice a rumble that chased nightmares away. Sundays, we'd file into the pews as a trio, him on one side, Mama on the other, me in the middle, safe in their orbit. But even then, the shadows crept in. His hugs lingered, palms pressing flat against my back, fingers splaying just a breath too low. During grace at dinner, his knee would brush mine under the table, accidental at first, then not. I'd pull away, cheeks flaming, and dive into my prayers harder, rosary beads clicking like a Morse code for help. "He's just affectionate," Mama cooed when I mentioned the unease once, her eyes soft with new love. Affectionate. The word stuck in my throat like a fishbone, and I'd nod, swallowing the doubt, because what did a girl know of men's hungers? The dream of the convent glowed brighter in those early days, a beacon pulling me toward 18, when I'd knock on the sister's door and leave the world's mess behind. By 11, the touches evolved into something insidious. A slow poison dripped into the well of our home. Richard's goodnight checks became rituals, him looming in my doorway, the hall light carving his silhouette sharp as a blade. "Got to make sure my girl's safe," he'd murmur, sitting on the bed's edge, his weight tilting the world. His hand would start innocent, smoothing my hair, then trace my arm, my collarbone, dipping into the valley between my budding breasts with a feather's faint. I'd stiffen, a statue of salt, heart-hammering psalms in my chest. "Our Father who art in heaven, deliver me from this evil." But heaven stayed mute, and he'd lean closer, breath whiskey sweet despite the church teetotaling, whispering, "You're blooming, Eliza. Like a rose in the Garden of Eden." Eden. The word twisted in my gut, for wasn't that where sin first bloomed? I'd mumble excuses, homework, thirst, and he'd chuckle, low and knowing, letting me flee to the bathroom mirror, where I'd scrub my skin raw, staring at the stranger's body that no longer felt mine. Infidelity started there, not to another man, but to myself, the way I'd catch my reflection and wonder if I was complicit, if my silence was invitation. Emotions churned like a storm, fear sharp as broken glass, a budding shame that bloomed hot in my cheeks, and beneath it all, a treacherous flicker of warmth when he'd slip me extra allowance, call me his special one. Love? Not yet, but the seed was planted, watered by isolation. Mama, lost in her bliss, saw only the perfect family, blind to the unraveling thread in my eyes. The shattering came at 13, on a night thick with summer's humid breath, cicadas chorusing like false witnesses outside. Mama was away at a cousin's wedding, her absence a void Richard filled with predatory ease. I'd spent the day at church, confirmation prep filling my head with oils and anointings, the bishop's words ringing, "You are sealed with the Holy Spirit," marked for purity. Home. I changed into my nightgown, the cotton soft against skin still humming with grace, and knelt to pray, thanking God for the path ahead, the novitiate letters I'd soon send. The door creaked, and there he was, shirtless in boxers, eyes dark as the confessional booth. "Time to grow up, princess," he said, not a question, his body crossing the room in 3 strides. I begged, "Daddy, no. Please, I'm saving myself for him," but words were wind, scattered by his hands, rough and insistent, pinning my wrists above my head. The intimacy he forced was a violation etched in fire, his mouth claiming what wasn't his weight a cage, thrusting into me with grunts that drowned my whimpers. Pain bloomed white-hot, then numb, as I detached, floating to the ceiling like the mystics in their ecstasies, whispering Ave Marias to the Virgin who'd known no man. It ended in a shudder, a sticky shame pooling between my thighs, and he rolled off, pulling me into his arms like a lover spent. "Shoo, our little secret," he crooned, stroking my hair. "This is love, Eliza, deeper than any vow." Love. The word lodged in my soul like shrapnel, twisting emotions into a knot, revulsion warring with a sick gratitude for his after-kisses, the way he held me as if I mattered. I bled for days, hidden pads in the trash, but the real hemorrhage was internal, the dream of the convent smeared, my body no longer a temple but a desecrated altar. From there, the intimacies wove into our nights like thorns in a crown. Richard's hunger sharpened. He'd corner me in the garage while Mama shopped, his fingers delving quick and cruel under my skirt, breath ragged against my ear. "Feel how much I need you." I'd comply in silence, body betraying mind, a wetness I despised slicking his touch, emotions fracturing, hatred for him, for myself, a depressive fog settling where faith once shone. Church became torment. I'd kneel during Mass, his thigh pressed to mine, his hand sneaking to squeeze my knee, a profane sacrament. The pull toward the convent intensified, a desperate grasp at redemption. At 15, I wrote the letters, to the Order of the Sacred Heart, my words fervent. I longed to offer my life in service, chaste and undivided. Acceptance came like manna, a scholarship for the aspirancy program starting at 18. I counted days like rosary beads, pouring myself into studies, volunteering at the shelter, anything to purify the stain. But Richard sensed the flight, his loves turning possessive, nights of forced tenderness, him inside me slow and deliberate, murmuring, "You can't leave me, angel. We're soul-bound." Infidelity to my calling gnawed, each climax, coerced or not, a betrayal of the veil I craved, unraveling my spirit thread by thread. And the emotions? A maelstrom, love's bastard child, where his praises, my perfect girl, ignited a glow I chased in the dark, depressive waves crashing after, leaving me curled fetal, sobbing for the girl who dreamed pure. 18 arrived like a thief, stealing me to the mother house in the hills, where stone arches whispered of sanctuary. The aspirancy was bliss at first, morning lauds at dawn, the sisters' habits flowing like mercy, classes on theology that mended my fractures. Mother Superior, with eyes like polished oak, took me under wing. God sees your heart, child. Let him heal the hidden hurts. I confessed fragments, family troubles, a vague loss of innocence, but the core secret festered. Richard's letters arriving like poison pills. Miss my girl. Come home soon. I burned them in the garden incinerator, ashes scattering like aborted prayers. Intimacies paused, distance a balm, but love's echo lingered, nights I'd wake aching for his touch, hating the infidelity to my budding vows. Emotions deepened, a lovely ache for the divine romance I'd traded for fleshly chains, depression shadowing vespers when doubts crept, am I worthy? The unraveling began subtly, a weekend furlough home, Mama's pride beaming as I shared my habit sketches. Richard waited, of course, his hug at the door crushing, lips brushing my ear. My nun? We'll see. That night, after Mama slept, he slipped into my old room, the air thick with mothballs and memory. Just once, he lied, but once became frenzy, his body reclaiming mine on the childhood bed, urgent and deep, emotions exploding, revulsion, surrender, a twisted love that bloomed in the risk, infidelity to the sisters who'd embraced me. He spilled inside without care, a reckless seeding I dismissed as folly. Weeks blurred into routine, discernment retreats, sowing my first coif, but my body whispered betrayal. Nausea at matins, breasts tender as bruised fruit, a faint line etching my abdomen. Pregnant. The word hit like a slap during silent adoration, crucifix blurring through tears. 18, aspirant to the veil, carrying his child Richards, the stepfather who'd forced his way into my womb. Panic unraveled me, knees buckling in the chapel, vomit staining the prie-dieu. Mother Superior found me there, her arms a cradle as confessions poured the assaults, the secrets, the intimacies that spanned years, the love I'd let fester like gangrene. Oh, child, she wept, her faith unshaken where mine crumbled. Emotions cascaded, shame a tidal wave, drowning the lovely dream in depressive black, infidelity to God, to the order, a chasm widening. Richard's call came that night, our miracle, he crowed, voice laced with possessive joy, unraveling further as he begged me home, promising marriage, a life entwined. Love? It mocked me, that warped devotion urging yes, even as vows pulled no. I chose unraveling, leaving the mother house at dawn, habit half-sown abandoned, the sisters' prayers trailing like funeral dirge. Home was hell's antechamber. Mama, shattered by the truth, I finally unleashed Richard's face ashen, denials crumbling under my flood of details, chose blindness at first, her love for him a chain. But the pregnancy swelled undeniable, my belly a betrayal rounding under loose dresses. Intimacies resumed, not forced now but invited in grief's haze, Richard's hands gentle on the curve, his mouth reverent at my navel, whispering, our love made this. Emotions twisted deeper, a lovely glow in the kicks, infidelity to Mama's heartbreak as I'd sneak to his bed, bodies entwining slow and sacred, love's unraveling into obsession. Depression shadowed every ultrasound, the technicians, it's a boy, a knife, his son, my ruin. Mama left him then, packing fury and flight, leaving me adrift in the house of horrors. Birth came in autumn storm, little Gabriel wailing into the world, his eyes Richard's blue, a living secret tying me to the man who'd destroyed my path. I held him, emotions fracturing love pure and fierce for this innocent bloom, depressive weight of what he'd cost, infidelity's echo in Richard's visits, cooing over the bassinet before pulling me close, intimacies whispered in the nursery dark. The years after were a tapestry of thorns. I raised Gabe alone at first, waitressing nights, his gurgles a lovely anchor amid the unraveling therapy sessions where I'd trace the nun dream's ghost, emotions raw, anger at God for the silence, a lingering love for Richard that lured him back. He came, contrite in words, his touches reigniting the flame, stolen weekends where we'd make love like addicts, Gabe napping nearby, infidelity to my single mother facade, to the purity I'd lost. Depression deepened in the quiet hours, Gabe's questions, where's my real daddy, unraveling stitches I'd sewn over scars. At 24, I tried normalcy, met Daniel at church, a widower with gentle hands and faith unscarred. We married in white, vows chased on my tongue, but the bed was battlefield, his thrusts stirring ghosts, Richard's shadow infidelity in my moans. Loves collided, Daniel's steady warmth versus the wild storm of Stepdad's passion, intimacies fracturing our home till he found the letters, the bruises of hickeys hidden under colors. He left with prayers, not curses, unraveling me into isolation. Now, at 29, with Gabe 9 and wise beyond wounds, I stand in the ruins, emotions a deep well, the lovely loves that saved and damned, infidelities that taught forgiveness's bite, intimacies that scarred but sensitized, unravelings that birthed this voice. Mine on this channel, spilling for you.